Welcome to the Fantasy Football Toolkit brought to you by the 360 Sports Network. I'm James Dobson, and today with our little toolkit, we're going to look at a very interesting tool that you see all through the fantasy world with all these online sites running your fantasy football leagues. You just had your draft, and the first thing that you see after your draft is, hey, here's your draft grade, or here's your draft analysis. And that's the first thing that you see about your team, even half of it before anybody else in the league could even possibly see what your team had. So let's say you just finished your draft. You feel very confident about your team. You like what you did. You got all the players you wanted. You made the nice value pick late on. You think you're off to a great start to a championship year. And then, boom, those draft analysis results come in. And you're projected to finish 10th with a 3-10 record. What gives? I mean, come on. You're thinking, did I really have that bad of a draft? Okay, they say I picked Peyton Manning too early. They say my tight end position is weak. Okay, now what do I do? You wait. That's what you do. Don't look at these draft analysis tools. This is one of the tools that you see all over that I think are absolute bogus. Don't use a computer algorithm to analyze your draft. Now, I know what you're saying right now. Come on, James. Wait a minute. You're the value man. You are the numbers guy. You created your own formulas to make those customizable cheat sheets that you're preaching all about. But now you're saying that a different algorithm that is based pretty much on the same ideas of projected stats is bad? Why, yes. Yes, I am. That's because numbers can be misleading. Yes, I use the cheat sheets to get a general idea of where players will rank in comparison to one another, both within one position and across the positions. Okay? But most of the algorithms used in analyzing your draft are using the same thing of projected stats, but they're doing it on a weekly basis, trying to simulate a full season. So, projected stats are bad? Okay, if I'm dealing with projected stats, then I guess, okay, when I'm looking at this, analysis, that, okay, my players apparently aren't going to do well because I'm not getting points, right? That's what this draft analysis is saying? No, not at all. Again, think about some of the strategy podcasts and the position ranking podcasts that we've done. We said that it's very possible for you to not draft a kicker or maybe not draft a defense. Well, okay, let's just go for example. Say you didn't draft a kicker. That's about 8 points per week on average that you would be missing if you don't have a kicker. Now, obviously, you're not going to go the whole year without a kicker. You just didn't draft one. Guess what? The computer isn't smart enough to see that you're eventually going to pick up a kicker. And that means you've lost 8 points per week that the algorithm is not going to pick up just because the kicker doesn't show up on your roster. You're not going to leave the spot blank. So think about that. That's already 8 points per week that the algorithm is probably not taking into account. All right? Now, let's think about something else. Say you got Gronkowski or Aaron Rodgers or even Andrew Luck, let's say. Are you going to get a backup for Rob Gronkowski? I highly doubt it. Are you going to get a backup for Aaron Rodgers? Probably not, because you're going to play him every week except his bye week. So here's the thing. There's nobody to plug in during that bye week, meaning you have now more goose eggs in that, week-to-week idea. So there's another issue right there because, okay, I don't have a quarterback now for week 7 when my guy's on a bye. It just gave me an automatic loss for that week sort of thing. So that's another thing to look at. Now, also speaking of bye weeks, most of us out there will balance your bye weeks, and I think you should. We've talked about it before that, there is the bye week bias. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let me just say this. Your backups are probably, 12th, 13th rounders. Okay? They have pathetic projected stats. Because normally at that point you're taking a guy who could be a flyer. You're hoping for somebody who's going to just absolutely explode. You're not going to get a big consistent guy in the 12th, 13th round. But guess what? In this projected lineup stuff that the algorithm does, it's going to be taking that 12th or 13th rounder and plugging him into your lineup. So you're getting, probably 3 projected points from that player that week. So obviously your score is going to be really low in the position when you have bye weeks. So that's easily going to knock you down, especially for your big guys. You're probably going to have a loss. So you're going to have at least 3 or 4 weeks that you're going to have many people on bye. So that's going to take a big cut out of your score right there. And that could easily mean 4 or 5 extra, quote-unquote losses in your projected stats for the year. Okay, now let's say you did go the other strategy. Say you did the bye week bias. You pick all players during the same bye week, saying, okay, I'm just going to take a loss that week. That's fine. Okay? Those strong projections that you get for those top players, they're all going to be in your lineup each and every week. Except for the one bad week, you already know you're going to lose. I mean, you're going to be projected about 10 points for that week on your entire team. So, here's the question, though. Do you really think everybody's going to do that great, that well, each and every week? No, it's a law of averages. I mean, we've done the statistics before. We show that in the long run, you are going to be losing. You're going to be in a downfall if you try to run with this strategy. The projections, though, are going to say complete opposite because those, week-to-week projections are going to look really good, minus your 1 week. You don't have any of the bye week people that everybody else is going to bring in. So your projections are probably going to put you around like a 11-2 or even a 12-1 record. And it's not because you have a better team. It's just because the numbers work out a little bit nicer in your favor. So again, take it with a grain of salt as you're going through this. Now, here's the other part of this. When they give you your draft grade and figuring out these projections, this is what really, really bothers me. Is that they look a lot in these grading systems as where you picked a player versus where you could have picked that player. So, just for an example, say you took Peyton Manning with the 20th pick of the draft. Say that for comparison purposes because 20 probably is a little high. But anyway, we're saying late second round. Currently, he's projected as the overall number 35 pick is what he should be in a standard league. That's according to our customizable cheat sheets on the website. So you picked him 20th, but he was projected he should be 35th. That means you just got a difference of minus 15 in your draft. Doesn't look good, because you could have picked him 15 spots later is what that's saying. Okay, let's give another one. People don't feel very good about Colin Kaepernick. You ended up getting him really late in the draft because people didn't like him. You got him at pick 140 as your backup quarterback. He's currently listed number 106 in our rankings, so that means you just got a score of plus 34 for Kaepernick. According to those algorithms, Kaepernick is now an exponentially better pick in the draft than Peyton Manning. Do you really think that? I mean, maybe you do, and that's the thing. Maybe you do think that picking Kaepernick there is a better pick than where you would have gotten Manning. That's fine. But here's the thing. The algorithm cannot look at other certain things. It's looking just at numbers again. Here's an example. How many other quarterbacks had gone when you took Peyton Manning at the 20th pick? There may have been a big run on him. He might have been the 6th quarterback taken when he's really valued as the 4th best. So there it should be a good pick maybe. Or maybe you already took Demaryius Thomas and you want to have that, the combo pick. So you were making sure that you got Manning. You weren't waiting for the next round and playing the lottery. You wanted to make sure you got him. I'd love that idea. But the algorithms cannot account for this. They cannot think strategy. And while Kaepernick sounds valuable, yeah, he might be. But if he's like the 3rd quarterback you pick, that's actually a really bad pick, no matter what the plus minus could be. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So here's another thing. There's a lot of things, I should say, that the projections hate. They hate handcuffs, they hate injured players, they hate the bye weeks, like I mentioned before, and they also, they just can't deal with, like I said, your overall team strategy. So let's look at it. Handcuffs. You'll probably take a handcuff at running back, probably around earlier than the guy normally should go. So again, that makes the plus minus look bad. Here's another one. Injured players, suspended players. So Arian Foster or Tom Brady, they're going to look bad because you're definitely going to take them before the stats say you should. I mean, for crying out loud, Tom Brady is projected based on his stats as like number 22 quarterback. So you really think he's going to be the 22nd quarterback off the board? No way. So that's going to look bad no matter what. Bye weeks. So here's another example. Say you've already got one wide receiver, I should say, who has a bye week during week 8. You're about to get your second wide receiver, except the top 3 wide receivers on the list all have a bye during week 8. So you skip the 3 of them, and you're going to take the next guy below who doesn't have the week 8 bye. Well, now that looks like a bad pick, especially on the plus minus, because there were 3 other quote-unquote better wide receivers that you could have and probably should have gotten according to the computer, but you're looking beyond that. You're noticing that you don't want to have the bye weeks, so you're going to take a guy a couple spots lower. I have no problem with that. I think it's the way it should be. Computers, they don't see that way, so keep your eyes for it. And most importantly, a computer cannot analyze what your overall strategy is. I can look at a draft, and 9 times out of 10, I can tell what you wanted to do. I know that you wanted to get your running backs quickly, or I want to know, or I knew that you were going wide route heavy first and not getting a quarterback till late. I can see what you're doing. A computer sees that you skipped 3 running backs that you should have taken before that second round wideout. That's what the computer sees, and it again says that's a bad for the plus minus. But here's the thing: as long as your strategy is sound and well executed, you had a good draft, no matter what the computers and what the numbers say. And honestly, this is what I see: teams that are projected to finish like mid-pack or even back of the pack end up winning their leagues. I was projected to finish 11 out of 12 in my big league last year. I won it all. In a different league, I was projected easily as the top team. I think I was projected to go undefeated in the regular season, and I barely squeaked into the playoffs. You can never tell. I cannot tell you on ever a time where the best drafted team ended up winning it all. Every year it seems like the team that had the best draft grade is just like I was last year, fighting to make it into the playoffs. Definitely not winning it all. And a lot of that too goes with, a draft is one thing, you have the entire year to work with and to make your team better and such. But in the end, it's really because those draft tools are just bogus. That's all it is. Now, I'm not saying don't debate. I think you should. You should keep debating with all the members of your league, after the draft. That's one of the most fun parts of the draft is saying, I liked that pick. I like this team a lot. This is my favorite team. I didn't like this pick as much, but I really like it. That's the fun stuff to do. I keep encouraging you to do that. But debate using your brain, not some stupid made-up formula. Thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Football Toolkit brought to you by 360 Sports Network. Again, keep checking out all of our podcasts, all of our tools here at 360sportsnetwork.com, and we hope you are enjoying your road to fantasy football glory. Have a good night, guys.